Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, debt slaves, serfs, peasants, vassals, party line drones, Benghazi watchers, Dick Cheney fans. I'm a useful idiot. Today I want to talk a little bit more about the Benghazi hearings, because now we have Dick Cheney climbing out from underneath his rock to get his 2 cents in. But before I get to this Dick Cheney interview and his comments and how they have any relevance at all, let me just say, too, that in addition to what I said in my previous video about Benghazi, I'm always more than interested in having governments answer for their actions and be held accountable and be held responsible. But the problem is the government is not the one to solve these problems. And the fact that we have these partisan spectacles and these Benghazi hearings and all the other hearings that the government has, it will always be the same. The attacking party, in this case the Republicans, will use all kinds of histrionics and all kinds of grand gestures and all kinds of huge accusations and inflammatory language, because they really want to whip the base into a frenzy and see if they can get some mileage out of this. That's really what it's all about. So that's what politicians do. And the Democrats, being the ones who are being attacked in this case, of course, they will fend off that this is just a witch hunt, and that they will stonewall, that Obama's answered all the questions, and they'll all be showing party loyalty, and that's how that works too. And if the tables were turned, both parties react exactly the same. They both use the same methods, and it just depends on who's in the hot seat. And granted, the Democrats are in the hot seat now. As I said previously, if something comes of this, that's great. If there are any results whatsoever, particularly reflecting on the Obama administration, I'm certainly fine with that. And I would love to see Hillary Clinton's reputation tarnished further, etc. All things I said in the previous video. But I'm just setting this up because one reason why I think the Benghazi hearings and everything associated with it are suspect is because everything is distorted, because it's a party line, partisan spectacle and show. And the government is the last person that's going to find the truth for us. So anyway, that said, let me get to this whole Dick Cheney thing, because this is exactly the kind of horseshit that I'm talking about. So all these old war horses like Cheney and Rove are probably going to come out and be saying stuff they have really no business talking about. So Dick Cheney, the king of cover-ups, has the nerve to come out and say in this interview, Dick Cheney says that Barack Obama is part of a cover-up over the nature of the Benghazi attack. Quote, Obama administration officials lied, unquote, Cheney told Sean Hannity on Fox News. Quote, they claimed it was all a demonstration video so that they wouldn't have to admit it was really all about their incompetence, unquote. And then he goes on to say, quote, they ignored repeated warnings from the CIA about the threat. They ignored messages from their own people on the ground that they needed more security, unquote. Then he added, quote, the cover-up included several officials up to and including President Obama, and the cover-up is still ongoing. And, of course, there's no way for him to know that, but he can speak with authority anyway, because he always does. And then he gets in all the credit that he thinks he deserves by bringing up 9/11 more often than Giuliani. He says, quote, the U.S. is prepared for such attacks, particularly since 9/11 and on the anniversaries of that day, 9/11, especially after 9/11. We are always on the step, locked and loaded, ready to go on 9/11. So that's 4 times in one sentence. And then, of course, he finishes up because he's such an armchair warrior, even though he got 5 deferments, so he wouldn't have to go to Vietnam, and was quoted as saying that he had better things to do than go and die in some foreign jungle. So anyway, he's proud of his military, though. He said, quote, we have specially trained units that practice this sort of thing all the time. They are very good at it, and they are chomping at the bit to go, unquote. Whack, 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 Dick Cheney goes on. So why I find this outrageous is because Dick Cheney is the master of cover-ups. Let's not forget that Dick Cheney was on the watch when the worst national security failure in American history happened. You want to talk about ignoring repeated warnings from the CIA and the FBI? Dick Cheney, you are the king. And you did it to cover up your incompetence, the same accusations you are making now. And you can say now that the U.S. is prepared for attacks after that spectacular failure on 9/11. And speaking of cover-ups, Dick Cheney, you oversaw the biggest cover-up in American history, and that is 9/11. Now, what would happen if Obama right now requested, how about if Obama and Hillary Clinton requested the same thing that George Bush and Dick Cheney were granted during the 9/11 investigation, and that was to give their testimony together so that their stories wouldn't get mixed up, testify together behind closed doors. So no public scrutiny, no documentation, and no oath. So Dick Cheney and George Bush had so much to hide in their cover-up of 9/11 that they testified behind closed doors together, not under oath. But this situation with Benghazi just goes on. But I would really like to see what people would say if now they said, okay, well, we'll just have Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama testify behind closed doors together with no written record and no requirement to take an oath. So anyway, hey, great. Always great to see you, Dick Cheney, you fucking asshole. Go crawl back underneath that rock that you came out from under just to stir up the muck some more, you fuck. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.